Mr. Huskins?
Yes.
Okay. So we have 3. That is technically by our code, that's enough for 4.
Yes.
So, okay, we also have quite a few in attendance. I now have the list in front of me, but we can bring that up later for the minutes, can't we?
Sorry.
Thank you.
Do what? Okay.
I'm not saying anything.
I can say that you're the 5th one, right?
Yeah, but I'm not.
You're on BBCS.
You
You are.
So,
I'm not easy.
I think you are. I think.
of our
No.
also in attendance people, is anybody here for BZA or planning and zoning or? Yes, yeah, it's for various. Okay. Well,
Why is it there?
I guess the first order of business would be approval of minutes from last month, June 13th. Everybody's read through their minutes already? Yes. Any discussion on the matter? Everybody good with it then? Do I hear a motion to accept it? Okay, Mr. Huskins, have we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Ms. Litz. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous approval. Voice approval. Okay. So our visitors are Mike Lieber, Marla Lieber, Ted Reedy, Darla Reedy, Jim Hookrattle, Elizabeth Ferguson, David Nichols, Brian Roche, is that correct? Yep. Okay, and Roger Woods. So we're gonna jump right into the list here. We don't have any old business to discuss on BZA. So new business, the first item would be the Holder Road variance that we Mr. Woods. Everybody look through it. Roger, you want to come up and please explain what you've got going on?
Good evening, Board of Appeals. My name is Roger Woods. I've dealt with Holder Road issues for a long time. And I think finally now that I have 11 acres, I'm asking for a variance. It's got 70 feet of road frontage, which R2 requires 100. And I'd like to have a variance of 70 feet to possibly build a house back there someday.
Well, I have to ask, you say possibly build a house. I know at one time you talked about building multiple houses back there.
Oh, it's really only good for one house.
Okay.
Yeah, because of road frontage and other issues that exist out there. Power lines, gas lines.
Yeah, there is a good utility there.
Always.
I will, I'm just looking at the satellite map compared to the auditor's map, where you got the house drawn, and the house is kind of right, almost on the pond.
Yeah, it's in front of the pond.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
No plans to subdivide that later.
Roger, I thought we had this worked out a couple years ago.
We did. You know, the neighbor decided to just give me the 30 feet. Matter of fact, we came in here and had a lot split, and then his bank did not allow it.
Okay, so the bank was the issue then.
Yes.
Okay.
I had it surveyed. You know, I probably spent $3,000 on surveying. Thought I had it, and that's what happened. So now this is my only chance, probably, to get a variance.
I mean, the neighbors won't talk.
Do any of the people on that list want to talk about that particular?
Well, I'm gonna let Roger finish your thing. You
Yeah.
want to say, Roger?
That's about it.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there any of the neighbors, that want to speak on behalf, yea or nay?
So, the intent is to build one house on
What's
that
your
11
name, sir?
acres.
Sir, what's your name?
Brian, Roche. It's one house on the 11 acres. That's it.
That's all. Road frontage.
That's what I thought, 11 acres is a lot for one house. I was just
Right.
concerned is what, that's all he can build,
Yes.
and that's in the city. That 11 acres is in the city.
And, Roger, I don't have a map in front of me. Is that R1 or R2 right there?
R2.
R2?
100 feet.
Okay.
That's residential, the R2 is. Residential is what R2 is.
R2 and R2 are all residential, yes. Any discussion? I mean, I'll make my opinion heard, but I want to hear everybody else's first.
I think it's 30 feet. He wants to put a driveway in for a house that he may or may not build. I don't see why there's an issue there.
You know, the only way I'd have an issue is if you want to build the house right there, and then you're crowding it on the lot. But since you're going to the back, I don't see a problem. You know, from what I remember, you had the narrow frontage, you figured on putting a drive back and then putting 2, 3, 4 residences back.
Well, one time I got it and I had some engineers out and they just said because of utilities and just.
Okay. You know, being he's not building the house on that narrow strip road,
No.
that is just access.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I personally don't see a problem.
I did not.
No, there's
Okay, so any further discussion?
Nope.
No. Nothing else in the gallery? Do I hear a motion to either accept or deny the variance?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Okay, Liz, we have a second. Mr. Huskins, we should do a roll call vote on that. Mayor?
Yes.
Mulder, yes. Huskins?
Yes.
Okay, so 3 votes yes.
And
That's not for
And
four,
Tammy.
so- I'm sorry.
She's second, but she's still.
Oh,
Yeah. We're doing roll call.
Okay, I'm sorry. So we have a quorum, unanimous, approval on the ordinance for Mr. Woods.
All right.
Roger, I don't know, since you have a zoning administrator to go to the paperwork, I think, Mr. Ellis will take care of that. Probably would not have it for him until probably next week, correct?
When do you need it by, Roger?
I've waited 8 years.
Well, I'll have it to you by, how about Monday? All right, no problem. Yes.
Okay, so the next order of business will be the variance for 204 Fairview Avenue, Nichols, I believe.
That's the house behind, Marathon. You don't have a backyard?
I know.
Yeah, that's true.
It's by Ohio state law that I need to contain our animals, and I'd like to make that a possibility.
Yeah, are you familiar with this? Where the area and
Oh,
stuff?
yes, we're done.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah,
Well,
I have 2 young children.
Yeah.
I have a large family. People drive down that road and have made my house a tourist site and a place of harassment. And
I'm sorry for that. And I've heard that too, and that's, I don't know what else you could do.
I know, it's literally torn out my air conditioner just to jump out the window.
Right.
Like, he likes to be outside. I don't.
understand that.
I would just like to make it a possibility to allow my children and my animals to live free.
You know, where she lives, there's no backyard. It's on an alley. There's a front yard. She's got a beautiful animal. She wants.
I actually have 3 dogs.
Is that right?
Yeah.
She just wants them to be able to run free, and that's the way, and I guess my question for you is, what kind of fence are you talking about?
I would like a 6-foot privacy fence or there would be no point.
Yeah, because those are big animals.
I own a Bernese mountain dog, purebred, a purebred Siberian Husky, and a Timberwolf. So,
And the Timberwolf can't clear. 6 foot. Can he clear the?
oh no,
6
we,
foot?
my sister-in-law, she has a 6-foot fence and he just runs around in there. He loves it. He doesn't even try to dig out or nothing. He just wants his space to be his own.
I just feel like it's what she wants to do, or is a good
It's
thing.
by Ohio state law that I need to contain my animals, and I would like to give my children a safe place to be. I have this one little car that stalks my house every day, at least 4 times a day. He comes by just to try to peek at my animals and look at my children, and I don't like it.
It's just a little bit creepy.
A little bit, yeah.
Now, you know, I guess the reason you're here for variance is because of its, the privacy fence is invasive in your front yard
Yes, yes, sir.
and instead of the backyard, which is what
Non-existent.
our code is set up, right? Your backyard is on the alley. I don't love the idea, but the one thing I really see is, you know, if you have cars going into the parking there at the Marathon, their headlights are just going right on your property right there.
Yes.
And because of that, I'm very lenient on that.
I'm glad to hear you say that, because I'm really familiar with this situation, and the harassment is, they're good to their animals, but people have made it to where they're not good to their animals, and I don't believe that's true.
I don't.
I know,
That is
I'm just saying,
not.
I
Look
don't
at any
believe
of my
that's true.
animals, they're all very sweet, very loving.
I understand that, so, and I'm sure that's true, so I just feel like we've got to make an exception here and help
I
her.
really appreciate it. I'll get on my
Yes.
hands and knees and
No, we're not, we want to do the right thing.
anything I can do to make it a possible. I'm sure my neighbor Elizabeth would really appreciate it too.
I've got a couple things to say, yeah.
Go ahead, come up here when you're done.
Okay, if you're done here, we'll.
Yes.
allow her to come and speak.
I'll
Yes.
show you about these.
I'm not opposed to them having the fence because, like you said, that Marathon station that shines it right into my bedroom.
Oh, yeah.
And I see, you know, how they care for their dogs and that's fine. My only concern is I have a 6-foot privacy fence, and from the distance between the fence and my property line is approximately 1 foot. It needs to be further. If they're gonna do a privacy fence, they need to have it further away from my fence. And even though, their one wolf hybrid has not tried to jump a fence or dig under a fence, he's got the potential to do that. And I've seen him take running leaps, and he can easily jump 6 feet. And the first year I lived over there, it was when he was breaking loose a lot, which they've kind of remedied that to somewhat. My dog, I've got a 25-pound Labradoodle, and it was in March, so it was a nice day. We were outside, and I thought she just wanted to lay in the sun, and it was before I got the fence. So I had her on a lead, and she was just laying out there in the sun. And I go in the house, and I see this flash of white, and I thought, oh crap, he's there. And so I went to the door, and as soon as I opened up the door, he must have thought I was going to take her away from him, and he snatched her up and started shaking her. He almost killed her. So she was traumatized. I was traumatized even more. So that's why I don't want to make it easy for him to jump a privacy fence into my backyard. So if they really need an 8-foot privacy fence, and I know that's probably not possible, but and I'm not opposed to a 6-foot. It just needs to be enough of a distance away from my fence so that we can cut the grass between the fences, and that he is not going to try and jump.
You live, and so you the house.
West.
She is directly next
door.
to our own.
I do have my survey here. I can kind of show you.
So what do you think would be an acceptable space between the two?
Well, since I only have 1 foot from my fence, their house is back here.
Okay.
Okay, and runs along the angle, and my fence from my deck comes out 9 feet. So my property line is at 10 feet back here. So their house sits back here.
Okay.
So, 4 or 5 feet would be sufficient for me. But, and that's, yeah, so that's all, that's my only concern. What do you guys have any thoughts?
So do you find any objection to that? That there would be 5 or 6 feet between your fence and her fence? And I guess my next question is, are you gonna have a fence person come out and do this, or how are you planning on putting the fence up?
I was gonna do it myself.
Okay. So in order to do that, you have to come get a permit, a fence permit and all that stuff, so.
I submitted 2 now. Now I'm coming here just for the variance.
Okay.
I have to resubmit,
No, I wouldn't think so.
Well, if we allow it under condition that you move it back, you probably wouldn't have to resubmit. You might have to officially resubmit it, but no additional fees, it'd just be enough. If that makes sense.
the only problem with coming back too far is I do have a shed on the side of my property that might be.
Well, the flagpole or the pole where the wires are, so that's about 3 or 4 feet.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the satellite of the 2 properties here right now. You definitely have a very narrow property. There's also, I believe, the Columbia Gas, like a pumping, not pumping station. It's
No,
something else.
it's just
It's like a fenced in meter area.
Okay,
Big as this area right here.
and they have no issue at all with this as well. Now, I will say this. Now, I love animals. I've always had a dog. Don't have much moment. That was a sad day. But if you can't control your dog, you can't just keep going to a bigger and bigger fence. I will say that. Okay. It is your responsibility.
And we did pay all fines and all surgeries that were accounted to this.
Yes, they did.
We took complete and full responsibility.
I went to quarter for that.
Okay. Well, I had no idea anybody went to court or anything.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
we paid all the medical bills and we made sure that we paid any fines that were accounted towards it.
But you understand what I'm saying. You can't just keep going bigger fences because you have animals you can't control.
So right now they're on tethers and chains. We're just trying to not
Our dog wanted to change.
let them to be free.
Right.
And still contained. My plan was for her, issue was I was gonna put a electric fence inside the actual panels in between the,
Like an
posts.
invisible fence or
Electric, so I can put a shock collar, so they can't
Oh,
go over or under the fence, that they'll be like a little warning shock.
Boy, that's
That would be a nice
definitely,
secondary.
Well,
The deterrent factors a lot that
I will tell you just from experience, I've talked to people that have large animals that are quick. Once they learn they can go quick, it doesn't stop.
yeah.
I do know that for a fact when I've been told. I have no personal experience, but I've had some people tell me that they've had that experience. I have no problem with allowing you to do the fence, okay? But I just want you to understand though, that's not the end all. The animal's not in control.
Well, the end all is to buy a farm.
Well, so I guess what we're saying is if we put the 6-foot fence up and they continue to jump out, it's not gonna be any bigger than 6-foot
Yeah,
fence.
we're not gonna put barbed wire on top of a fence on top of anything else.
No. 6-foot fences and that's, in a front yard for us is definitely a
That's
different
tough
thing. Yes. When we have to just take this on a basis by basis, issue, but I feel like if there's ample space between the 2 fences and the neighbor is good with it, then
So what do we
Mr. Mayor?
think we should?
yes.
I have an issue with the space between, who's gonna take care of it? That's what we dealt with in council, and that's why we put it on the line now, that we changed our
Oh, you mean as far as maintaining the yard? Yeah.
Yeah, who's maintaining that in
I
between?
don't think
Because
it's on our.
I think-
But she's also, no.
Yeah.
I think they said you were going to mow it.
Pretty maintains that when she mows her yard, you know, she don't.
as long as somebody knows that, you know,
Yeah.
okay, that's what the
I'm
issue
sure
we
they
ran
stated
into.
that they were gonna care for it, because I had the same thing.
I was gonna leave a big enough room for like a drivable lawn mower.
Okay.
With like a weed eater. Okay.
Just random question. There's a 6-foot privacy fence there now.
Yeah, she has one.
I have one.
Is there a necessity for 2 fences in
Yes,
that
I
area?
don't want it butted up against my fence.
Now, I was looking at the satellite view of it, and I didn't see your fence on it, just.
Well, it's only been up about a year.
Older photo.
Yeah, the fence has only been there a year.
Okay, that's the reason why I didn't show it on.
Yeah.
photo.
I think, you know, maintaining in between those two fences would be,
They already said that they're going to maintain it, which
Yeah.
that helps.
So what kind of room are we gonna require between the fences or allow?
Is it a push mower or riding mower?
I have a push mower and then, with my side, I can just run it up there once and then, because I'm already mowing as part of their property. Because I just realized I only had one
I will
foot.
tell you that they don't have a whole lot of property.
no, I'd say it's pretty close.
Uh,
Yeah.
You know, which is,
Responsible done.
well, 4 foot would be, I'd be for an animal clear and it's another.
Yes. it
Yes,
would be very
yes.
hard.
So that's how I.
Yeah.
That's kind of going against two things that go on in the front yard privacy fence.
This is a unique situation.
But this is a
Variance,
situation
sure.
we're trying to remedy.
Yeah.
And can I say something else?
Yes,
too?
please do.
And about being out front. I have noticed on 2 separate occasions that there are other stray dogs that come in there and go after him. So he's not safe being out there, because of the other strays that come in.
That is true.
Yeah.
I do have videos and pictures of the other dogs that have came and attacked those.
Really?
And he actually didn't hurt a single one.
Yeah,
I've seen
I've seen him
done that.
My dog was attacked 4 times on a leash on walks here in the village. By dogs that were not leashed.
I was walking my other dog and, they had like a broken fence and their pit bull came out and attacked my dog. And,
That's why I quit walking on him. That's why.
Okay. Well, any other discussion from anybody else in attendance? Any more discussion from the members of the board? So does someone want to make a motion that we allow this at, are we saying a 4-foot
Yeah.
setback on their fence?
Because it would be hard for a dog to jump over a big fence and then jump over another one.
Which is not allowed 5 feet.
It's 3 feet off of my property line, because you already have the foot off.
Yeah, just 4 feet between the two fences.
So we need to specify off their property line, because she doesn't have a fence in the front.
I got you.
So it'd be 3 feet off the property line on your side.
Yes.
So I think that's where we need to word this motion, I believe.
Yeah.
So, does someone want to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Also. Okay. So, Liz first, Husband second. We'll do a roll call vote on that. Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Huskins,
Yes.
Ms. Litz,
Yes.
Logger, yes. So unanimous approval. We'll give you the permit, but again, it'll have to be, the first week to get the paperwork together for
Is it next week?
you. Yes.
Monday.
We'll get a hold of you when it's ready to pick up.
Okay, you can contact them. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll contact them.
Maybe that writes it up. So we're good. Yep.
So is there any other new business that we don't have on the agenda for BZA? Well, the next possible meeting would be, the second Thursday of August. I'm not sure what date that is, but that's only if we have something on the agenda.
Yes, sir.
But right now, that would be the.
I have it as the 8th.
Yeah. If we have nothing else, I would say we call for a motion for adjournment.
Yes.
Hey, Liz.
I'll second.
You can't. I only have a vote.
All in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Unanimous, so we'll hold the meeting here at 7:25. Thank you.
don't think it's working.
All right, got your fence. Yeah. I don't think any of us have any intentions of, we want to be good to the people who live here, that's for sure.
Oh, it's because I didn't click the video button.
Got way
I
out
didn't click the video button.
You unclicked it?
Not on your part, I mean on nosy people.
Okay.
Got way out. All right.
Now, will we have these minutes at the next council meeting?
These minutes?
Yes, I'll try to have
Yeah. We have 2
I'm
weeks.
real adamant about having all
Because
all meetings.
I think there's some that I need to get you guys that they've approved.
Maybe.
And I just haven't, I didn't know, I guess, really what I did with them. So that you guys want them.
Yeah, we want, I do. I don't know about you two, but I want all minutes.
I get
all
them already,
meetings.
so.
Well, yeah, she'll get them, but yeah, okay. Okay,
The other council members don't, so we don't know what's going on.
yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah. I'll, and I even went back, because I don't think some minutes have been done since 2023. So Brian's got them to review. I mean, we can do, you know, it's whatever, I guess now at this point, at least they're there.
That was unanticipated.
No, that goes without saying. There's more important things in life than that.
Yeah, I should have during that meeting officially announced that Jim was going to take.
I'll bring it up.
Didn't say that, we've already discussed that privately, so.
Okay. And I hate to wrap this, but I gotta get upstairs too for that board meeting, because
You're all right.
My dog.
thank you.
We didn't know this was an option.
No.
What you do that, I'll do the.
You're welcome.
I've got a copy, I just put that next to the case,
Tonight,
everybody else is here.
well, here you can try this. It's not official.
Oh, yours.
Thank you.
No.
This is the old sleep, and then
This is new.
I think I can tell you, I can right now. Nope.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's so different.
Yeah, but that's the last iteration I got from here about 2 weeks ago. You know, this right here looks. This
I think you can have it, darling.
This is the one.
Yeah, that was.
This is the new updated Liberty Ridge.
Here's. We need to sign in, I guess, again, right? Kimber.
Okay.
Do we need them to sign in again, even though they're not going to speak probably? Yes.
If you think so. Not much.
They're
of Robert's
supposed
rules
to.
of order,
No, well, I have, this is the one from. Is that something they just gave us?
so. No, I should talk.
I appreciate it.
Out about this thing with Thursday. Okay.
Oh, I don't think.
We'll talk about that.
My head hurts.
Mine is too.
It's been a bad day.
Are we gonna,
Yes, it has.
me just a second, let me see if I can, hey, look at that, Randy. Are we ready?
Oh, man.
Are we ready?
Okay, so can I ask you a question? Who is this from? Is this from the school? Community development?
You do it.
Say who it's from.
Well,
Is this
that's my research.
written by, okay,
Okay.
that explains,
That
thank
is
you.
not brand new. I found one from Pennsylvania,
Okay,
and that's the only one they could find.
all right, thank you.
So,
Okay.
we'll call the, Village Board Planning and Zoning Commission, meeting to order at 7:30, July 11th, 2024.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, roll call, Mayor Ellis.
Yeah.
Mr. Perry,
Present.
Ms. Factor's not here. Mulder, I'm here. Ms. Litz.
Present.
Okay, so we have 4 out of 5, so we got quorum, although we didn't actually vote on it tonight anyhow.
No, there is not.
Okay,
For the minutes.
we do have the minutes from the meeting of June 13th, 1 month ago. Hope everybody's already read through them. Is there any discussion on the minutes?
No, Mr. Munger, I would move to accept the minutes as written. I read through them, and they seem accurate.
Okay, we have a second?
I'll second
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, I would say. Approve the minutes by voice vote. So I know there's people and things here are Louise and Tim Huckrow. I don't know if any of them want to speak or not.
He said no, but
Okay.
It doesn't hold me back.
On our old business, this has been something going on for probably all year now, discussion on driveways. We had tabled last month because I quite honestly wasn't prepared, and I apologize. Did find my notes. If I remember correctly, what we were talking about was, when we went through the zoning code, 8 years ago, I want to say, the intention was that every new driveway parking area was going to be paved. Now, because of some of the properties with longer drives, we're looking at being a little more lenient there. So this is research I come up. I know, Mayor, you had done some research as well. The first part of this is more than anything just a dictionary of what it is. Driveway approach refers to a paved or otherwise delineated area on the right of way between the roadway and the private property, intended to provide access for vehicles from the roadway to private property. So that's the driveway approach.
I think we've called that synonymously apron.
Apron and driveway approach. Now, what they call a driveway apron width and length typically range between 12 and 24 feet wide, and average 8 to 15 feet long. Width of a driveway apron often matches the width of your driveway, and the length depends on the distance between the end of the driveway or sidewalk and the road. So they're actually using the terms together as well. In some cases, the opening of the apron can flare an average of 45 degrees out from the top to accommodate turning vehicles. The reason I'm going through all of this is because we definitely want the apron and or approach to be paved. We don't want that to be dry. Now, the concrete garage apron, which would be the area in front of the garage door, is a concrete slab in front of the garage door. This apron is usually between 3 to 5 feet wide and runs the entire length of the driveway and garage door. This would be if you didn't have a parking. This is gravel drive. This would be just in front of the drive, or in front of the garage. The parking area in front of the garage should be at least 20 feet in depth to accommodate a full-size vehicle. Now, this is from my research. Newer properties built on north side of Cliff Street. Driveways length range from approximately 130 or 140 up to almost 175 feet. I don't want to put a hardship on that. But we also want to keep, you know, continuity and you know, this is our code. What we discussed was anything over 40, maybe 50 feet, allowing some leniency as far as having the paved drive and or approach, and then the apron at the garage and the parking area being paved, but allowing gravel in between. Now, just for reference, my property on Ballsville Street, I've got a 125-foot driveway from the street, or actually from my sidewalk, which my apron is paved, back to my barn, to my carriage house. I've got 125 feet. And right now it is not concrete and it's just gravel. I would like to someday pave it. But that isn't all that long.
No.
I mean, we've been talking about 40, 50 feet.
Right.
I think we maybe going to raise that threshold a little bit. Because, you know, I went out and measured myself and said, you know, what do I think is justifiable? So this is my thoughts. You know, open discussion. What does everybody else think?
I think, so what length are you thinking then, Kenny?
I don't know. I'd like to know what everybody else is thinking. I just, you know, 40, 50 feet covers most of the drives on standard R3.
Yeah.
Right?
50 feet would.
Yeah.
The only thing, so an apron going in, and then 40 feet, and then we want an apron coming out of the garage.
Well, if they have a garage, what we're saying was the parking area.
We wanted a parking pad.
Parking pad.
Yeah. And then we'd allow, and we haven't got to the brass tacks of it, right? How we want to lay this out.
I feel like Cliff Street is not a good example because there's not a lot of lots in town left that have that size of driveway.
Correct.
So we could say 80 feet a pad. You know what I mean?
I was thinking, so an extension beyond the apron from, so is that still called an apron? That's the extension from the garage.
Yes.
So,
Yeah,
so from that apron out, I think we need to discuss how far out from the apron they should come.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna have the apron at the end of the driveway. So,
basically brings to the easement,
mhm,
the proper line.
mhm. So a minimum apron of 3 feet at the garage. And then they need to have an extension, so there's a parking pad, so that they're parking on a parking pad.
See, like on a 40-foot, on a 50-foot driveway, you would do that anyways, right? I mean, because
I'm thinking 50 feet.
I'm saying on
from
most
the-
lots from the street to the driveway, it's not going to be over 50 feet.
Yeah, most of them will not be.
Yeah.
They're probably going to be 35 to 40 feet.
I think 50 feet would be a safe distance, because then in most cases, then all of that's gonna run together anyways. You're gonna have
Right.
the apron from the garage,
Yeah.
you're gonna have that 50-foot
It'll all
maximum
be connected.
pad, and then most likely it's already gonna be connected to the apron at the end of the driveway
Right.
at the easement there.
So,
And that's a normal, I mean, to me, that's a normal size.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so too. Yeah.
I think 50 feet is a good distance, but that's my opinion. That's my opinion.
so what we're thinking is, so 50 feet, that'd be total from the property line and or easement, because we've got these buffer properties,
Right.
to the garage or parking area. How do you want to word that?
From the garage. Because I think you're working from that particular apron towards the street.
You know, what I'm thinking, but again, I'm open to discussion, okay, would be from the property line and or easement, whichever is further back in the property, back to the structure, whether it's a garage or they just have a parking pad, it doesn't matter. But to the structure, if we said 50 feet and then there was a 20-foot parking area, that, you know, that only leaves 30 feet that has to be paved if you've got 50 feet or less. okay, which I don't think is any undue.
And I don't even think that most of them won't even be that big in town.
Right.
I think yeah.
I don't think an additional 30 feet of pavement's gonna be an undue hardship, on new construction.
No.
Not if you put a garage that far off the street.
Yeah.
You should expect to pave it.
Right.
I mean, if I was gonna do asphalt, I might not necessarily want. I like the term approach from the street and then the apron for the barn or structure or garage.
Right.
If I was going to do an approach with a structure and then have to put asphalt in, I probably wouldn't do an apron on the barn. I would probably put my asphalt right up to my concrete slab that it was on. If I wouldn't want to do both. If I wanted a concrete apron, that's great.
Yeah.
But if I'm gonna asphalt, I'm gonna go right up to my new garage.
Which that's more affordable anyways.
Yes.
I'm old school back in the old cars and street oil. You never park on asphalt.
Correct. Correct. But yeah, I would just, I mean, to me, I like your idea of, the property line or easement 50 feet to the structure.
Okay. So I think what you and I are in agreement is that it's over 50 feet.
I don't have.
We're gonna specify that we need at least a 20-foot parking area.
Right.
And then if the area from the structure to the property line and or easement is greater than 50 feet, we'll allow the remaining to be private.
Yes.
Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, because I just don't think we're gonna run into that very often.
I don't think we're going to either, but that would cover us.
Yes, no, I agree. Yeah.
No, I think we need to spell that out.
So let's spell it out so we can vote on it.
I agree with what you just said. I think that makes sense.
It does make sense. So write all that down, honey. You got all that?
Could you say that one more time?
Not even
please?
close. I'm hoping it's being recorded.
Well,
Oh, my mic's on.
So what we're saying, what we're in agreement on
Okay.
is that if the driveway area measured from either the property line and or street easement, whichever is closest to the structure, okay? If that area from that line to the structure is greater than 50 feet, they would not have to pave the full area, but they would be required to pave a 20-foot parking section.
It almost would be easier to draw a picture of that, Connie, for you to understand it.
Is that understandable?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it.
Are we all in agreement on that?
Yes.
Okay, well, we need to probably put that into a motion.
I can't make a motion, can I?
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Oh, I'm definitely put that into a motion, 100%. That's what we need to do.
Okay,
A second.
we have a second.
He's not.
Technically not on the DCA, but
Okay.
I would if I was.
Okay, so let's give us a second. So we can do a roll call vote. Mayor Ellis,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Auger, yes. And Litz. Okay, so we have unanimous 4 votes. So that will be,
That one.
I guess I'll go to Mr. Faco.
Yeah.
And then we'll go to council.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we can take that off our agenda for the first time in a long time. So is there any other old business?
None that I can think of.
Motion.
Okay. New business, adjusting setback definition for the irregular lots. That goes back to what we were just talking about. This thing on these lots that have the property line goes in the middle of the road. Very few of those, but the few that we have creates a problem when we start doing lot coverage percentages. So what I think we need to do, and this is my opinion again, so please be willing to speak your thoughts here, is the lot coverage percentage should not count anything past the road easement.
100%.
okay? But that's where you're in some loopholes
Yeah.
down the road here, I think.
Well,
I'm giving our village administrator some leeway there and saying that could be part of the problem.
But I'm gonna tell you that the new administrator or whoever's approving these lots are gonna take a wheel and they're gonna measure the lot, not to the middle of the street. We're not gonna look at a map and say, oh yeah, that looks okay. And we're going to measure the lots. So
Right.
you have to physically measure the lots. And for lack of probably experience, that didn't get done. But we're, from this point on, we're going to do it that way.
Right.
That's the only way. Wouldn't you agree with that, Mr. Hookrattle? The house across the street down from you. I mean, when they did that, I'm just asking for your opinion. They measured that lot showed to the middle of the road. So they said, oh yeah, you can squeeze that thing in there. I mean, that was a mistake. Don't you feel like it was?
I feel it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's done now, obviously, but from this point on, whoever measures these lots, or whoever our administrator is, and I'm not blaming the old administrator either. Again, it was like, but we need to go out there and physically measure the lot, not what it says on the plot map.
Well, the thing is though, if he had measured the lot and went by our code, the lot coverage might have worked out. That's why we need to specify this
Right.
and make it black and white.
I don't think that would work
If you
out.
put it in black and white, that you cannot use that road easement
Right.
as part of your plan.
Yes, sir.
Right.
It is.
Yes, sir.
And I think that's what we're.
So I think
That's
our,
exactly what we're saying.
our lot specifications and our code already does that for setbacks, but we need to just double up on it and make sure
Definitely double up on it.
that we're covered here. I don't know that we'll ever encounter it again, but
Yeah.
let's just take care of it before
Yes.
it's cut and dry. Okay?
100% agree with you, Ken.
So what I'm proposing is that we amend the, trying to get the right term here. It isn't just R1, R2, R3, but it is how the lot is measured.
Yes.
To where it would be from the lot area will not count any easement, any area that is out on the road. Okay, maybe that's the easiest way to put it. Okay,
Road easement for sure.
Yeah, it does not count. Does that make sense, Connie,
Mhm.
for you?
now I'm not got to word that into legal terms.
Faco could name, he could put it.
But
So we're saying to clarify the proper,
Your name.
I know, but I'm like, it's not the measurements, but the specs of the lot. And to make sure that the setbacks are not intrusive onto the village property.
Or to the neighbors for that matter.
Yeah, so that means they have to be specifically, stepped off, measured,
It
and.
has to be physically
marked.
measured. We need to have someone go out there with a wheel and measure.
With the
lot.
flags, like they used
Yes,
to do.
I mean,
Measure
however,
with the flags
but
up,
we
you
have
can
to go
see.
measure these lots. We can't.
if somebody's going to be voting, they should have the lot marked.
Right.
Mhm.
To measure. If they don't have the lot marked, that isn't our administrator, zoning
No.
administrator,
No.
voting. It isn't their job to go out and find the.
It isn't. No, it isn't. It isn't. But I want somebody from the village to check the lot size out every time there's a house built.
I agree
I
completely, yeah.
Especially when the setbacks are in.
Yes,
question.
when setbacks are in question, somebody from the village has to go measure it and make sure that so we don't slip up.
Yeah, and if you put that clarification in verbiage of coverage and setback, then if there's an instance, and again, I don't have a voice on the council, but I'm just saying, if there's an instance where there's a request to alter that, they'll just apply for a regular variance and it can be
Say yeah,
considered on a
correct,
case,
yes, right.
on a case by case basis.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Okay,
So
make that motion.
we need to, I'm not sure I'm allowed to make a motion, am I?
No, I'll make a motion to accept what we just said.
And that was,
And that was two things. You can't use
will not count the road
we will
easement.
not count the road easement, and that somebody from the village has to go physically measure the lot.
Do you, for clarity, you don't want to count the road easement for setbacks or lot coverage calculation?
For both, exactly.
That's
I was going to say that myself, so you
Yep.
think,
Yes.
Can you say that one more time, please?
Setbacks or lot,
Or lot coverage calculation?
yes, yeah. So I think that's where we got in trouble over here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
it
something
is.
that needs to be excluded.
Yes.
Don't put that, I'm thinking aloud, sorry, not to confuse you.
I'm sorry, I'm not even listening to you.
So I make a motion that we put that into our.
To amend the
to amend
ordinance.
The ordinance, yes.
Okay.
I just
So
need to say,
after Mr. Faco, we put into a draft ordinance to go to council.
yes,
Correct?
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second that. Do we know specifically which ordinance that is? Do we have the number?
I do not.
That would help.
I'm sorry. I
But
would
Jeff,
I'm a lot of things. I'm not that organized, okay?
That's okay. Well,
It'd probably be the one that talks
Yeah,
the one that talks about,
12,
it's not like you're a one or
hold
two
on,
or three.
it's the one that we look at, 1252, is that it?
sure, I don't know.
I'll look. Twelve oh four oh one, I think.
Like it's under 65B, what you just said, 120401. Under 65B.
Lot measurements, yeah. Thanks, Tammy. I was reading through those, I'm like, I know I'm getting closer.
On page 11 of mine, I don't know about everyone else's.
Well, no, this wasn't this not this. General development standard, 1272, I think, for our okay, building size, lot area, yard requirements, setback, 1272.
Setbacks, F.
Wouldn't it be,
This
wouldn't it just
somewhat-
be O2?
Somewhat talked about the same issue, I think it's a little bit more.
Shouldn't both of them be changed? Both of them talk.
Probably.
Well,
There again, Jeff would know, I think, Mr. Faco.
yeah, Mr. Faco will know.
Yeah, but 127202 was where I think we need to amend.
Yeah, I don't know if you need to amend the definition of the lot. Definition of the lot could stay the same, and the definition of where the setback coverage measure would be what you want to.
Right. And it's that's 127202B, which is the measurement on lot areas.
Okay. Yes. Building size, lot area. I think you're right.
Yep.
Okay. Yes, sir. That would be correct.
Okay. And I mean, if you read through it, it somewhat addresses it, but I think it's just better if you make it black and white.
Yes, 100%. And then we don't talk about it anymore. Right. In the book.
So we need to do if we're all in agreement, no more discussion on it. Let's do a roll call vote on that. Ellis?
Yes.
McCreary?
Yes.
Mauger? Yes. Bliss?
Yes.
Okay, unanimous approval. I'm gonna send that to Mr. Faco for draft ordinance to the council. Last thing I asked to have on new business was just basically discussion on Liberty Ridge subdivision. Nothing formal, not approving anything. But, I really want to know what everybody's thoughts are. I'll be honest with you, I'm scared to death. You know, Baltimore needs growth. We all know it. Whether we want it or not, growth is going to happen. So what we want to do is be able to somewhat control it in the village's favor, which I don't know how to do. I have been asking every source I can think of, and I've been overwhelmed with information that I don't have time to process with knowledge. I talked to school superintendent today. I talked to Tim Schaefer. I put in an office, I called it Lorraine's office. I talked to the village today about, I guess we're members of the metropolitan, of the municipal,
Ohio Municipal League.
Ohio Municipal League. And I tried to get into that today, and they're all at seminar today. But I just want to make sure we have all the information that we can glean for this. You know, nobody I've talked to that is in any community, even close to our size, that's seen this kind of rapid growth, what we're looking at coming our way, has anything good to say. And it scares the dickens out of them. There's no way we're going to keep away from every pitfall. I'm just hoping we can somehow know enough to steer in the right direction.
I briefly read this, okay? Was this one right here says the Board of Education, is this the meeting you had with the city?
No, this was just information from one of their Board of Education meetings.
I mean, I'd rather see homes backwards. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Well,
I don't want to end up with,
warehouse.
you know, up and down everywhere in town. I just don't want to see that. Okay. And you're right, growth has to happen. I mean, it just has to. I mean, do we know when they're planning on starting?
Well, here's what I'll tell you. And I thought about this, and this has kept me up at night. Look, when I ran for mayor, I thought the biggest challenge I had was going to be the water issues. And I feel like council has done a great job, and the people that work for the village, we've done a great job. We're making strides in improving the water. But that is almost the water issues are minute compared to what we're faced with now. So I started this with Liberty Ridge, the very first meeting that I had with them, and I've had more contact with them, I guarantee, than anybody. Meetings, conversations, and here's what I'll tell you. When they said they were coming here, I said, okay, well, we'll talk to you about it. And they wanted this. We said no. They wanted us to waive, like the first thing they wanted us to do is waive sewer and tap fees. And I said, we're not going to do it. Well, we might not come. Like, okay, don't come. You know what I mean? And so every hurdle that we have stuck up for them, they have jumped over. Do I want to see 213 houses that close together? I don't. But if you think about it, if we did it to the township specs, we wouldn't be using 80 acres. We'd be using 400 acres. So we'd be eating up more farmland. This was plotted. Roger was here earlier. Roger plotted this for these houses in 1977 is what he told them. And it was going to be a neighborhood then. The people that D.R. Horton, from the president down to the people that build the houses I've talked to. And in fact, I went to Lithopolis and I talked to 11 people that have bought houses in Lithopolis in their latest neighborhood. And 10 out of the 11 said they were good builders and they'd buy another house from them. And the one lady didn't like the color of her asphalt. That was the only other thing. So I feel like, I mean, it's not just for the money either. Plus the amount of green space that they're putting in this neighborhood. I mean, there's going to be just less than 40 acres of green space in the neighborhood. I know that people I grew up with and people that live in this village, some of them are mad. If we're ever going to have businesses in this town, we're going to have more rooftops. And I would rather be a responsible
member of this town and make whoever's building these houses, do it responsibly and do it well, than willy-nilly it, like what they're talking about doing, East Town. And I want to, and I feel like they came, they were in a hostile meeting, to say the least, 2 weeks ago. And they answered the questions. I met with the county engineer this week about the traffic study. He's going to print it for me and show it to him. But the first thing I asked them to do was meet with the superintendent, and the superintendent said we can do this. So I feel like in 7 months we've dotted the I's and crossed the T's. But if again, I don't. This isn't something that I'm just like, yeah, come on, let's build a bunch of houses in Baltimore. I don't want that. I live on 8 acres with a view of the beautiful Landis Farms. You know what I mean? I don't want this, but if we're going to have it.
I think we've been asking the right questions, and we continue to ask questions because we want to know more. We want to learn more about this, and we're not finished. And I think we're trying to do our due diligence to make sure that the right decisions are going to be made. But I do think it's inevitable there is going to be growth, and we have to decide, and that's what we're working on. What is it going to look like?
Right.
And I'm sure there are going to be hurdles that we have to jump, and we will have to make some adjustments, I'm sure, as a village. But I think we will take that information, and I think we have a really responsible group of individuals that go out, seek the information, and come back with answers. And sometimes I would say probably sometimes the answers are exactly what we would hope they would have been. But I think we're realistic in coming back and trying to come up with solutions to address any issues that are brought before us. And I do think thus far, HR Horton has done the same thing. Again, I'm sure there are going to be issues, and we are not going to make everyone happy. So I just think we're still in the process of making a final decision. Nothing thus far has, I guess, been signed off.
No.
And so we're still in that process.
Right.
And I think people need to understand that. And I wish people would be able to listen and take the information and take that information. So I understand people are feeling very strongly, but I think people need to be more reasonable in how they're asking questions. And
well, and I feel like if you've got a question or something to say, come to the meeting and say it.
And make sure you're coming with accurate information.
Right,
I get very frustrated with people sharing inaccurate information. And unfortunately, that's kind of one of the problems with social media. So we get a lot of rumors that are thrown out there, and some people have no idea what they're saying and if they're even accurate.
Right.
So I will say one thing that I was just floored by was the accusation that someone's pockets are being lined.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Absolutely ridiculous. And I hope I'm on the record for that.
I don't even know who's, it's 67 cents an hour the last couple of weeks that I make for working for the village. That's insulting to me. And here's the other side of this whole coin too, is say this happens and we do build this. As the mayor and as council, I will be on them every process of this building. And this is a 2 to 5 year project too. They're not going to come in next year and build 213 houses. But as the construction starts, we're all going to be a part of this. And we're saying, hey, no, we're not sure. You know what I mean? We're going to hold them to the standard that they said they would build, not just say yes and then walk away. From start to finish, we're going to be a part of that. And I guess I get all passionate about it because I grew up here. I don't want to see Bowl. I'm just like everybody else wants to see Bowl. But I just know we're either going to see a bunch of warehouses or we're going to, that guy could have bought that land and put a bunch of Section 8 housing out there, affordable housing. What would people think then? I'm not saying that's the worst thing in the world, But I'm just saying, these are $375,000 to $500,000 houses. I just don't know. I don't know what else or how else we could do it. And quite frankly, that land was for sale for 8 years. If somebody wanted to buy it and keep farming it, should have bought it.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's the way I feel about it too.
And we could be in the situation, some of these huge warehouses that
Yes.
have been put up in Fairfield County. Is that what we want?
It's right next to the railroad tracks. We're lucky.
Yeah, again,
Well, no, mind
people
you,
who own the
it's
land
zoned
could have
zoned
sold it
R3,
to
Right.
someone else,
so
so
they couldn't do.
Right.
they could have come in and asked for a variance.
Lawyered up for.
I don't want to be, I mean, you go through Canal Winchester right now, and it's not that little Canal Winchester any longer. It's not.
Well, now, I'll tell you, I don't like warehouses, but I will say Baltimore does not have a good tax base. We could use industry.
Well, we could, we could. I agree with that, and I think eventually it will come. But we can be surrounded with it because I can tell you what we're not in charge of. Right outside of our town, I'm more worried about that than I am this. I can tell you that. I'm way more concerned about what's east of town than what's here.
And that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But I do want to be on the record and say this, you know, what I do not want to see, that's what we saw in Pickerington was, here was Pickerington, a leapfrog that they built outside. And then all of a sudden, boom, they went from this to Megalopolis. You know, I think Liberty Ridge location is a great location. It's contiguous to the town. It's already part of the town. Heck, it's already platted. But it is platted as real nice size R3 lots. I mean, these are not even tight R3s. They're very nice size lots. I don't know if everybody got to look at this. Yeah. This is actually the lot, the plot layout for the old Sleepy Hollow. Right. And, you know, this is, I think I counted 121 homes.
Right. So we're adding basically 70, 80 homes to it.
Yeah, well, I think I had 220 in there now.
213. Okay. Is the final count. But also, you know, when this was plotted in 80 or whenever it was plotted, so there's, you know, things have changed. Because in the beginning of this with the builder, I said, are you telling me you can sell that many houses like that? And he said, would I build them if I couldn't? And when I go to Lithopolis and I see that neighborhood there, I think there's 410 in that neighborhood, and they're all sold, you know? So I don't know. Like I said, I get all loud about it just because I feel like I'm on the defense all the time.
Now I will tell you this. This is my lovely wife did this. I hope anybody can see it. This is just generic, okay? But this is going off their lot size, off their average house size.
Right.
That's kind of the, you know, the lot coverage we're talking about. You can see the green compared to the house. And I realize they're not going to be exactly the same house.
Right.
But I'll tell you what it reminds me of is military housing.
Yeah.
But that's also if they build every structure to the maximum of the setbacks.
Right. What this was the average of the properties that they showed me of their model homes. Their square footage.
Yeah.
Their square footage over what they said in their printout was an average of 4,800 square foot lots. Now our R3 currently minimum is 6,500. Now I'll be honest with you, if they would come close to that, 6,200, maybe even 6,000, I would be much happier. I'm concerned that we're going to end up looking like, quite honestly, cookie cutter military housing side by side. And my wife and I are actually going to go out. We're planning to go out Sunday and go drive to several of these communities.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I've not had the opportunity to do it. And I don't know if anybody else has or not. I want to,
This is nice.
Yeah.
but I want to see firsthand because I'm a born skeptic. Okay, I look at everything and I don't see the good before I see the bad. I always look. I see the worst case scenario and then I go from there.
My understanding is that this is what is really desirable and more environmentally friendly in terms of having this smaller lot size. It's less to maintain, and that's the families are wanting smaller yards, less to maintain, they'll have green space elsewhere, but they'll have less that they have to mow and take care of,
That's what
so
the younger population wants to see.
it is,
Well,
it is.
and that's what I've heard, but I talked with Miss Looney, I talked with Aaron, I can't even like them around the street, they're realtors. And they're not backing that up. But what they're telling me is, that's a real good sales pitch, but it's not the industry standard.
Well,
And, you know, I want to ask you guys, I mean, you've got 8 acres, that doesn't count. I mean, what size is your lot?
Quarter acre.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big lot.
Well, mine's a double.
Yeah. You know, I have a lot and a half over on Washington Street.
But I would prefer to have a smaller lot, and I'm not young.
Yeah.
I would prefer to have a smaller lot because for me, it would be easier to maintain.
Right.
But I know that's not what everybody wants.
Right. And you can't generalize. You can't say this is what everybody wants. But yeah, I've been spending way too much time with trying to talk to everybody I can think, because I want to make sure it isn't just my, and trying to get objective opinions. I've had mixed, yay, nay, everywhere in between. But I want to make sure I've got as much information as I can. And say I just wanted to just kind of a roundtable discussion and see what everybody else thought. But, you know, of the realtors I've talked with, you know, they're not backing up that thing that everybody wants, these small lots.
Is DR Horton contracted with local realtors to sell these houses?
No, DR Horton.
No. And I had a meeting with them, well, actually the day before we had the meeting.
That's what I was
Where I had a meeting
And
just.
no offense to any of the local
Right,
realtors,
right.
because I know a lot of them, they're great people. But if you're gonna pull 210 potential buyers out of my market,
Oh, yeah, that's gonna hurt.
I'm gonna not want that either.
Yeah.
And not that they're going to sabotage that, but you're not gonna have a good taste in your mouth.
Right, so you're not gonna be intrigued with it.
210 potential home buyers buying for not me,
Yeah.
guaranteed.
Right, and that's a valid point.
Mr. Hookrunner, what do you
It
think
happens
about
every
that? You've
time
lived here a
you
long
go.
time. What do you think about all this? I'm curious about that.
I guess I'm looking at it. I would rather see a lot more larger, a few less homes there, but you also have to take into consideration that green space that's out there has got to be taken care of. They put together a homeowners association.
Right.
They're going to pay a fee.
Right.
So that fee is going to go up as you've got the number of houses down.
Right.
And sooner or later, that homeowners association is going to fail. And the village of Baltimore is going to have 27 acres of green space to take care of. Have you thought about that?
I have, but I feel like if these people are spending $375,000 to $500,000 on the house, I feel like I don't know that it would. That's a valid point, but we could find that on anything that we build.
Frankly, the HOA does take care of it. You can't just get your claim by nature.
Yeah.
Take care of it now.
Right.
Well, that would be back to Wilberville too, I think.
Right.
I have family who
If
live,
you've got it down to, what, 180 homes, that would get the lot sizes up closer to the R3.
Right.
Would it not?
Right.
And I think
So that would be basically 30 less houses. The thing is I think what they, for the builder, I think he came up with the number of houses based off of, I'm sure there's a profit line and everything else. But with all the space that they got, could they space them out a little bit more, I suppose, but I think they're trying to give it what I saw, and I guess if somebody was to drive on Topless, it would make more sense, because what I saw, when I see this, when I first saw this, I was like, there's no way. There's just no way. But when I went to Topless and I saw it, it made more sense to me. But
and the lots are the same dimensions.
yeah, pretty much everything's the same. Even the houses are the same plans that they gave us. So, I mean, again, I want to be a good steward of our community. The other thing is we're under the gun on this. They've spent a bunch of money already, and they're expecting us to say, yes, we're coming, or no, we're not. If they walk away,
If you go with them with a lot size change, a house count, a lot size change, they're gonna come back with we need X for each.
right, and that's the thing. It was gonna cost them $1 million to go under the railroad to get for the water lines. They had, for the water line to go up there. And sewer, yeah. Well, we're not paying for any of that. We're not paying for any of the infrastructure. In fact, at first, they asked us to waive all the $6,500 tap fees for the water and sewer on 213 houses. So we said no, because the money that generates alone is, 1.4, $1.5 million that we could stick right back into our water and sewer. That was my thought anyways. But
dollars to go under the railroad. The village went under the railroad.
The size line that they have to do for that many was a lot bigger. And because we looked at the prices, and Tim's pretty good at that stuff.
8-inch to 12-inch.
Yeah, they're going to a 12-inch all the way up there.
I don't have a say in this until council gets it, but I believe that this developer he's vetted the schools, he's vetted the fire departments, he's vetted the county with the roads. I really think they've done their due diligence for this whole thing. Of all the developers that have come at us,
yes,
I think they're the most responsible. I think they've done what we've asked of them.
yes.
I don't want to see Baltimore go crazy either, but I don't want it to be a Pickerington that happened 50 years ago. I think we're doing what we're supposed to do to get decent developers in here. And that's my opinion. I think it'll be great.
I like the sense of community, and I know I've said this before. I like the way that neighborhood is going to be directly connected to Baltimore.
Yeah.
They do not have to go on the road. The families that want to ride their bicycles, run, bring their strollers in town, the ability to come into the heart of the village is there. And I think if you travel around, you'll see how much people appreciate having paths and they utilize those. So I do think in terms of opportunity for our local businesses to benefit from the growth, absolutely it's there.
Oh, yeah, and I think
The money it brings in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
everything, they were going to have a gravel path.
And now they're paving.
Brandy said, really? And I thought, there's no way they're going to do that. And they said, okay, if that's what you guys want.
I mean, they know that this is a big opportunity for them. I mean, they wouldn't be doing all this if they were taking a huge risk. I mean, it's pretty clear. But I think, in terms of people want answers and they want quick fixes with our infrastructure here, that's not going to happen in terms of having those people keep saying, well, we're not going to do this until they fix. Well, we've already talked to wastewater and the water plant, and we are prepared for that. And the infrastructure that's going in over there, if that happens, will be installed in such a way that it will be able to handle the water. So specifically storm water. So, which is our issue here.
Right, which is our issue. And we've already, this year alone, in 16 months, we've placed 3.5 miles of water line. We have a grant that we got the first okay to replace the water line on 256 from Corporation Limit all the way down Market Street, replace the whole main water line. That sounds like that might, so it's not like we're ignoring
Right,
the
no,
infrastructure.
we're definitely
Right. So I feel like but I feel like we're coming under the gun here because they started in December on this, and they're not wanting to push dirt even this year. It would probably be next year before they push dirt, but we're gonna have to let them know, hey, we're doing this so they can make plans to go ahead. And that's where, we, as this board goes, we have to make some decisions. And then, of course, we have to have another public meeting, and we need to do that quickly.
Right.
Because I don't want them backing out.
Well, just to clarify here, you're talking about for going into 308, this is their engineer's preliminary report here. It was the sanitary lift stations was 550,000. Directional bore, the 6-inch sanitary force main, 125 feet to 145,000 approximately. The 12-inch water main from the village was directional bore, 662,000. And then this is for 2,650 feet. So that wasn't just under the railway. That was
right. Yeah, and I did say that one.
And then the 8-inch water main on Boswell was another 181,000. So it ended up being about 1.5. But that was for all that. That was for basically infrastructure and all the digging for all that.
Right.
So it wasn't just going to.
And that's not coming out of the taxpayers' pocket here. That's coming out of their pocket.
Now, at the public meeting there 2 weeks ago, I didn't get a chance to talk with them after that, but we were referring to the NCA.
Mm-hmm. So an NCA, do you know what that is?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
But there was a quick reference in it, and I don't know if it was a misstep on their part where they said it wrong or what, but what I heard was that a lot of the infrastructure was actually being built back through that. And maybe I heard it wrong, but that's where I heard it, but I didn't hear anything else on that.
No.
And that absolutely sounded wrong to me.
So it costs about $100,000 to do an NCA. NCA will be whatever we come up with, council comes up with, whether it's 4 mil, 5 mil, 6 mil. It's a tax put on those houses specifically for a 10-year period or whatever it is. That money we had talked about, what money that would generate per year, we would split that with fire, schools, township, and the village.
Right. But we're only talking total of maybe $75,000 a year. It isn't that much.
No, it's better than nothing.
Right. But I'm saying you split 4 ways. It doesn't.
Well, it wouldn't be an even split either.
Well,
the village would get more of that than anyone.
I'm saying if every bit of that went to school, that's one employee with benefits.
Right.
It doesn't go very far, honestly.
No, it doesn't. But just the regular tax revenue that 213,000 does go.
Right.
We also have to remember, you're not going to magically have 213 families living here. It's going to be
2 to 5 years.
It's 2 to 5 years. It's also houses of this size. And again, I'm not on the council. I've done a lot of construction my whole life. My dad was in subdivision construction my entire life. They take time to fill. They take time to build. You're going to get houses of this size and lots this size. I believe they are more popular nowadays, regardless of what the real estate folks said. A lot of younger people don't want to be. People have moved from their yard to their porch to their basement. Like people are in the house watching TV now. They're not out in the yard. They don't want to mow. They don't want to do those things like we all do. That said, these are going to get bought by young families that are moving in that don't even have kids in school yet. It'll be 5 years before they're in kindergarten. And if they do move in, maybe they have a 2 or 3 year old. It'll be 2 or 3 years before they're in kindergarten. So it all is a process, and it evolves, and it all evolves together like everything does. The biggest thing that people get afraid of is they all put in their mind that there's going to be 250 new families and 250 new kids and all of this stuff just appears, and it is not that way at all. You won't even notice these new folks. All of a sudden, you'll have a new neighbor, and that's it. And then over the years, you'll have a lot of new neighbors, a little bit at a time. And I think figuring out how to dissuade that fear that all of a sudden you're going to have this population bomb dropped on you is really difficult to overcome. That said, D.R. Horton builds a really good house. They don't cut corners. I know the companies they use I've been in windows and doors for 20 years. I know the companies they use for windows and doors. They don't cut corners. So I think they're going to attract the right kind of people, the right kind of buyer. I just had to say that just from what I'm hearing. Again, I'm not on the council. We want everyone's opinion in the village.
there was a couple of people at the public meeting that brought up, well, look at this review on their houses. You can find I'm in the car business. You can find a bad review on everything that's sold in the world.
Right.
You can, whether it's Chevy, Ford, whatever, you can find bad reviews. So to physically go talk to people that have bought their houses, that's what I did. And I got a good review.
Yeah, that's what I want to do this weekend. But I will tell you, I've been in business over 40 years.
Yes.
You know, I don't do online business, okay? But, you know, what I've always said is bad news has wings, good news travels slow, okay? You know, the average homeowner that's happy with their house, they're not already reviewed. Nope. The one who's mad might not be anything that's real.
Right.
Maybe the neighbors don't get their yard.
Right.
They're the ones going to write better. Okay. So you got to know that first off. And that's when somebody's irate, you can't explain that to them.
I want to visit the older one. I've been to the one on Life Office, but I want to visit one of the older developments.
The point is the first one that they
Just to talk to people and say, so your home is X number of years old. How do you feel about it now?
That's exactly
How is your home today? How would you rate? And I think what you said, that's a fair argument. People who want to complain are so eager to get out there and complain. And people who things generally are positive and things are going well don't tend to. Yeah, I mean, that is a true statement.
Depending on how old those houses are, and also remember there's a whole other generation of people building them now. So people that built those old houses aren't gonna be the same.
But aren't they contractors though? So it's not the same
No,
builders
they're
every time.
subcontractors
Correct.
most of the time.
Oh,
Subcontractors, yeah. So I'm just saying
What
that,
we are working with their vice president, with, they don't have a construction.
right, so everything's
They
subcontractors.
everything is subcontracted.
Yeah.
So. Well,
We can talk this for all night.
actually, I don't want to talk everybody down, but I have just researched myself to the note here. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing something. I did talk to the superintendent today, and he didn't scare me. Just there was some other things coming up as far as
Do you want to adjourn this meeting
like
first?
outside search. Yeah. Well, let's get to that real quick.
Okay,
That was the reason why I wanted to bring this up.
okay.
But that's why I talked to the superintendent. I just want to make sure we are doing all the research and we're not missing something. You know, when the company that contacted myself and the mayor a couple weeks ago, wanted to know if we could vote on this week. And
I told them
that there wasn't 10 days to post to get the letters out to all the contiguous property owners. That wasn't possible. But I'll be honest with you, when somebody really puts a rush on me, I become suspicious. You know, I push back harder.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to research a little more. If they're giving me ample time to do my research, I feel more at ease.
Mm-hmm.
So
They
that,
could be too, like we discussed, it's just, they've been working on this for a very long time.
right.
Yeah, it's been almost 8 months now, so it's not like, you know, and time is money for them, so.
Right. So anyhow, these are my concerns. I wanted to air them officially, so everybody knows where I'm thinking. That's all I have. Anybody else have any discussion, anything else you wanted to bring up for new business? If not, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I move to adjourn at 8:29.
8:29.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
8:29, we'll call it.
Thank you.
Thank you everybody for listening to me.